All right, hey everyone, welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're going to be dissecting a YouTube video, and the title is pretty bold: 10 Shocking Donald Trump Facts You Have to
Mhm.
See.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Sounds a little clickbaity.
it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But we're going to pull out some of the, we're going to try and figure out, like, is there actually anything shocking here?
Right.
We're going to look at the facts, and you can decide for yourself.
Yeah, I'm game.
Okay, cool. So, fact number one: Donald Trump doesn't drink, like, at all. He's a teetotaler,
Mhm.
never touched alcohol or drugs.
Now, that is interesting, especially because he launched a vodka brand
What?
called Trump Super Premium Vodka, no less.
I know. Like, who launches a vodka brand if they don't even drink?
Well, it's all about branding, right?
Hmm.
Maybe not personal habits, but creating that aspirational image.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense in a way. But wait, the video says that the vodka brand actually failed?
It did.
Mhm.
It wasn't a success story, really.
Makes you wonder about some of his other business ventures, huh?
It does. And speaking of ventures, this next fact kind of blew my mind. Apparently, if Trump had just taken his inheritance, back in 1988 and put it all into, get this, index funds,
Okay.
he'd be worth an estimated $13 billion today.
Whoa, hold on, hold on.
Yeah.
Index funds, what are those? And why would the difference be so huge?
Okay, so imagine index funds like a basket of stocks, and they track like a specific market index, right? Like
Right.
the S&P 500, for example. They're considered a fairly safe investment because they diversify your money across a bunch of companies. And historically, over time, they tend to outperform a lot of other investments.
Gotcha. So instead of putting all his eggs in one basket, he could have just spread the risk and he'd be sitting on a much bigger pile of cash today.
Yeah, potentially.
That's wild.
I-
But I mean, knowing Trump playing it safe doesn't really seem like his style, does it?
You're probably right about that.
Okay, moving on. This next one is more about how Trump speaks than what he actually does.
Yeah.
A linguistics professor actually analyzed his vocabulary.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
This is the big mouth, tiny words bit.
Exactly. They found that he really favors short, simple words, mostly one or two syllables, like money, you, me, and of course, great.
Great, yeah. And I, let's not forget I.
Oh, of course.
Lots of I.
So it makes you wonder, is this simplicity a weakness or a strength,
Right, right.
Does it make him more relatable to some audiences, or does it make him seem less intelligent?
That's a good question. Could go either way. It's probably no coincidence that, his style resonates with a certain segment of
It's the glamorous aspect of Trump's career, his 4 business bankruptcies.
Yeah, that's a lot, right?
It
For
is.
someone who's always like billing himself as a business genius.
Right, and these weren't small-time operations.
Like, what are we talking about here?
The Trump Taj Mahal,
Wow.
the Trump Plaza Hotel, a couple of his casino resorts in Atlantic City.
Okay, so how does that even happen? How does someone who supposedly has all this business acumen end up with 4 bankruptcies?
Well, you see, it boils down to taking on too much debt.
Right.
What's called over-leveraging. Imagine building a huge tower but borrowing way more money than you can actually pay back.
Ouch. That's gotta hurt, even for a billionaire.
Indeed. Now, this next fact is, well, a bit strange. Apparently, Trump wakes up every morning around 6 a.m.
Really, Bird.
and reads a stack of news clippings all about himself.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, that's what they say.
So, like, his staff gathers every article that mentions him
Apparently, yeah.
and hands him like a personalized news digest.
That's what Business Insider reported.
Wow. And the video also mentioned, wasn't there something about like a highlight reel?
Oh, yeah. Apparently, there's this tape of, like, his career highlights that he likes to watch regularly.
Okay. I mean, that's kind of a lot, even for Trump, right?
It is a bit much.
You have to wonder what's going on there psychologically. Is it just pure ego? Or there's something else going on?
It's interesting, isn't it? Speaking of unusual habits, did you know Trump, a man who owns a private jet, managed to bankrupt an entire airline?
Wait, what? Seriously. How do you even bankrupt an airline?
It's more common than you think, but yeah,
Right.
it was the Eastern Air Shuttle. And get this, it was actually quite profitable before Trump got involved.
Huh.
He bought it, slapped his name on it, renamed it Trump Shuttle. 4 years later, deep financial trouble.
So what happened? Bad management. Just bad luck.
It seems like he focused more on, that branding we talked about
Oh, yeah.
than actually understanding how to run an airline. Added all these luxury features, drove up costs. didn't pay enough attention to actually, like, running the airline, the efficiency of it.
Oh, so it's like he put the cart before the horse?
Yeah, you could say that.
Focused on the image before the actual substance.
Exactly. He defaulted on the loans, and, well, the airline went belly up.
Man, talk about a crash landing.
Indeed. And then, of course, there's his Twitter, where, he's unleashed some pretty bizarre tweets over the years.
Oh, I remember those.
Mm.
What was that one? He offered Obama free golf for life if he'd just resign immediately.
Yeah.
Classic Trump.
Exactly. And who could forget that commentary on the Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart breakup?
Oh, yeah.
Like, he had to weigh in on everything, right?
It's like he saw Twitter as his personal soapbox.
Yeah.
Broadcasting his every thought and whim to the world.
It's true. And, love him or hate him, he really mastered the art of using social media to his advantage.
Yeah.
He built a massive following.
Yeah, he did.
And really shaped public discourse using it.
Okay, so we've covered, like, the drinking, the vodka, the business stuff, Twitter. This is all pretty wild, but is it really shocking?
I don't know.
I mean, it's Trump, right?
Yeah.
We kind of expect this from him.
You have a point.
So what do you think? Shocking or just, typical Trump?
I think maybe shocking isn't the right word, but it definitely paints a picture, right?
Yeah.
Of a very complex and often contradictory figure.
Definitely. And we're just getting started. There's still a few more facts to unpack from this video.
Really?
And I have a feeling they're going to get even more interesting.
Can't wait.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break and then jump right back into the deep end.
All right, so where were we? Oh, yeah, the YouTube video was about to get into some of Trump's more controversial opinions.
Right. Like, it claims he's a staunch anti-vaxxer
Yeah.
and a climate change denier.
Mm-hmm.
And it even quotes him as saying, "I've never seen a thin person drink Diet Coke."
Okay, those are some bold statements.
Yeah.
Especially coming from someone with such a huge platform.
Right.
I mean, I guess that's where the shocking element comes in.
Yeah, definitely. It's like, these aren't just random opinions, right? These are beliefs that have, like, real-world implications.
Yeah.
Especially when they're coming from someone with as much influence as Trump.
Absolutely. And, the video also brings up Trump's history with the Vietnam War.
Oh, right.
Specifically, how he avoided the draft.
Yeah, wasn't it something about multiple deferments?
Right. He received several student deferments while he was in college and then a medical deferment for bone spurs in his feet.
That's always been a bit of a controversial topic, hasn't it?
Yeah.
The whole, like, who served and who didn't during Vietnam.
Absolutely. It was a divisive war.
Right.
And even decades later, those debates haven't completely gone away.
And there were those comments he made about Senator John McCain, too, right?
Oh, wait.
The whole "I like people who weren't captured" thing.
Yeah, those remarks were widely condemned.
I remember.
Particularly by veterans and their families.
Oh.
McCain, as you know, spent over 5 years as a prisoner of war in Vietnam, endured torture and hardship.
It's hard to imagine what would possess someone to say something like that about a war hero.
It suggests a lack of empathy, I think.
Yeah.
Perhaps even a disdain for those who served and sacrificed.
Okay, so let's see. We've covered his business dealings, his communication style, his controversial opinions, his draft history. What's left?
Well, we can't forget the stubby fingers saga.
Oh, right. The feud with Graydon Carter?
Yeah.
That whole thing is just bizarre.
It's strange.
Fill me in case I, missed some of the details.
Okay, so it all started back in the 80s when Carter, who was the editor of Spy magazine at the time, jokingly referred to Trump as a short-fingered vulgarian in an article.
And Trump, being Trump, couldn't just let it go.
No, of course not.
Right.
For years, he reportedly sent Carter photos of his hands with his fingers circled in gold Sharpie as if to prove they were, of normal length.
He did not. Seriously. That's just, I don't even know what to say. It's almost comical, but also kind of disturbing,
It is a strange mix.
It's like this weird glimpse into a deep-seated insecurity.
Yeah.
This, obsession with a physical attribute that most people wouldn't even think twice about.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, you have to wonder what it says about his psychology. Like, this need to constantly prove himself, to silence any criticism, even if it's about something as small as finger length.
It's a puzzle, for sure. So we've gone through these 10, quote-unquote, shocking facts, some more shocking than others.
Yeah.
But I think, what does it all mean? That's the bigger question.
Yeah, that's what I've been thinking this whole time.
Right.
What's the takeaway? Does any of this really matter?
Well, I guess it depends on your perspective, right?
Right.
Some might argue that these are just quirks,
Uh-huh.
eccentricities that don't really have any bearing on his abilities as a businessman or a political figure.
Right. But then others might say that, these anecdotes, they reveal deeper character flaws, a pattern of behavior that's concerning.
Exactly. And it's really up to each individual to decide where they fall on that spectrum, I think.
So are we saying that it's all subjective?
Hmm.
That there's no objective truth when it comes to judging someone like Trump?
I don't think I'd go that far. I think there are definitely objective facts, right?
Yeah.
His business record, policy decisions, public statements.
Right. The things he's actually done.
But it's how we interpret those facts, how much weight we give to these, personal anecdotes.
Right.
That's where the subjectivity comes in.
Okay, so it's like we're putting together this giant jigsaw puzzle, and these shocking facts, they're just a few of the pieces.
And depending on which pieces you focus on, you might end up with a very different picture.
So how do we make sense of it all? Where do we go from here?
Well, I think, first step is acknowledging that Donald Trump is a complex figure.
He is.
Full of contradictions. He defies easy categorization.
For sure.
He's a master of self-promotion, but he's also deeply insecure. He can be charming and charismatic, but also brash and offensive.
It's like he embodies all of these contradictions at the same time. And that's what makes him so fascinating, but also so frustrating.
Exactly. And the second step, I think, is to be critical consumers of information.
Right. Don't just take things at face value.
Right. Don't just accept these shocking facts at face value. Do your own research, consider different perspectives,
Think for yourself.
and form your own conclusions.
Right. It's about thinking for ourselves and not just letting the media or anyone else tell us what to think.
Exactly. I mean, we live in an age of information overload, and it's more important now than ever to be discerning, to question everything,
To, be skeptical.
and seek out the truth wherever it may lead.
So, in a way, these shocking facts, whether we find them actually shocking or not, they're a starting point, right? They're like a catalyst for deeper exploration
For sure.
and critical thinking.
And that's what's so valuable about this deep dive, right?
Right.
It's not about giving you definitive answers.
Uh-huh.
It's about asking questions, sparking curiosity, and encouraging a more, nuanced and informed understanding.
I like that. So how do we wrap up this deep dive? What's the final takeaway for our listeners?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that Donald Trump is kind of like a Rorschach test,
Oh, interesting.
People see in him what they want to see.
Yeah.
Whether that's a brilliant businessman, a charismatic leader, or a dangerous demagogue.
And that's okay, right? To have different interpretations, different perspectives.
Absolutely. I think the key is to be aware of those biases, both our own and the sources that we're relying on.
It's about having an open mind, but also a critical eye, right?
Exactly. And so with that, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into the 10 shocking Donald Trump facts.
Wow, that was quite a journey. I feel like I have a much better understanding of Trump now, even if, I just don't have all the answers.
That's the beauty of it, right?
Yeah.
There's always more to learn, more to explore, more to ponder.
So what now? What should our listeners do with all this information?
Well, I hope they'll go out and do their own research.
Keep learning.
Dig deeper into the topics that resonated with them and continue to, challenge their own assumptions and beliefs.
Because at the end of the day, knowledge is power, right?
It is.
And the more we know, the better equipped we are to deal with this, complex and ever-changing world.
Couldn't agree more. So as we wrap up this exploration of 10 shocking Donald Trump facts, I'd leave our listeners with this.
Okay.
Think about what surprised you most during this deep dive. Was it a specific fact, a particular anecdote, or was it something, more about his personality, his approach to the world?
I love that because, it's not just about the facts themselves. It's about what those facts reveal.
Right.
About the man, about ourselves, and about the society we live in.
Precisely. And that's the beauty of knowledge. It's a journey, not a destination. There's always more to uncover, more to understand.
So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those minds sharp. And until next time, happy diving. It really is the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know.
Yeah, and in this case, with someone like Trump who's been in the public eye for so long, it's easy to feel like, oh, we know him, we get him.
Right, exactly.
But then you dig a little deeper and you find these contradictions, these strange things.
Oh, yeah.
You realize there's always more to the story.
Yeah, and this video, this is just one perspective, right?
For sure.
There are tons of other sources out there.
Yeah.
Articles, biographies, documentaries. I mean, even just listening to his interviews and speeches.
Right, you can go straight to the source.
Yeah. It's like we're trying to assemble a puzzle, but with pieces from different boxes.
I like that analogy.
You know, each piece gives you a little glimpse of the bigger picture, but it's up to us to try to figure out how it all fits together.
And to remember that no single source is going to be, like, perfectly objective.
Right, right.
Everyone has their biases.
Yeah, their own agendas.
Exactly.
So it's important to be, like you were saying before, a critical consumer of information.
Yeah, read between the lines.
Ah.
Compare different sources.
Always be asking questions.
Always.
Don't just take things at face value.
Exactly.
Do your own digging, form your own opinions.
That's what I hope, our listeners will take away from this deep dive.
Yeah, for sure.
That curiosity, the desire to learn more, and the tools to think critically about the information that they come across.
Because, like, at the end of the day, that's what makes us informed citizens, right?
It really is.
And in a world where there's so much misinformation flying around, that's more important than ever.
Couldn't agree more. So as we wrap up this look at 10 shocking Donald Trump facts, I'd like to leave our listeners with one final thought.
Go ahead.
Think about what surprised you the most during this, this whole conversation. Was it a particular fact, a specific story? Or was it something more about, his personality, his way of seeing the world?
That's a great question. Because it's not just about the facts themselves, right?
Great.
It's about what those facts tell us. Like, about Trump as a person,
Yeah.
about ourselves, and about, the society we live in.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of knowledge, right? It's a journey, not a destination. There's always more to uncover, always more to understand.
So keep exploring, keep questioning, keep those minds sharp. And until next time, happy diving.